And we are live. Welcome to another episode of Watch Talk with the Punters. My name is Blue Shirt. My co-hosts are the ever popular Thomas Burnett and
Hi, guys.
NS something.
Hey, everyone.
And we have the rancher with us today. And our very special guest is Bobby Legs from the Bobby Legs Loves Watches channel. Welcome, Rob.
Hey, guys. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Yay. Great.
It's a real pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
Let me say hello to some people. Wolfgang, welcome. Amin, how are you? Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Wilson, good to see you. Our pal Flippin' Zippo. Hey, man. Good to see you. Rasan, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Junior Johnson. Hey there, my friend. Thank you for joining us. Orange Hand. Hello. Hello, my friend. Philip Savage, Rhys Ross, Underachieving Watch Collector, Maynard Joseph, our old pal Geezer, Sanjay, how's it going? Daniel, Dan T, Alex, and I think I covered everybody. Oh, Chaz from the Burger is going to be popping in and out, and so is Abdul, who was one of the first ones in there. He's got some people coming over to watch a soccer game, so he'll be popping in and out. Jared, hello. Mason 1, welcome, my friend. James Con 11, welcome. Wonder of Watches, hey, Ben, welcome. Good to see everybody. So, this week...
Sorry about that. I had to take a phone call.
No worries, no worries. Thank you for joining us, Rancher. It's good to have you back. I was just going to say that this week was, as everybody knows, and everything has been talked to death already, but now it's our turn. We've got a busy week to cover. Watches and Wonders introduced a bunch of new releases. So on that note, I'm going to turn everything over to Ennis something, and he'll run us through the very busy week in watch news.
Sure. Let me share my screen, and I don't know. I'll try and see. There's a lot to cover, right? So I don't know what we'll get to. I'm not sure what kind of order to cover it in.
It doesn't matter.
Should we get like some of the elephants in the room out of the way? Maybe.
Absolutely.
Should we cover Rolex first? That'll take like 3 minutes.
Maybe after this one. I think this. Let's start with a company that released something. Then we'll go to a company that a company that's secretly a color and paint company, but nobody wants to admit it. So people had been speculating what this was going to be. HP and Marvel. I'm not sure what to say about this one. I mean, it's obviously a
besides that it's ugly.
Well, I mean, it's obviously a mistake, right?
Yeah.
And look, I like fun watches, right? I like all watches. I'm not sure what the point is here, especially at the price range, right? Aside from saying, okay, we want to go to like the jewelry market or something, right? Kind of like I hate to say this, but I see this and I think Jacob & Co, right? It's I know people say it's like a Casio or whatever, but to me this is like a really expensive, weird juvenile thing. It's like a Jacob & Co. I don't know, especially at the price.
Duty Robson.
I don't know. I think you really have to be a very special client to want to go after this. And I'm not sure. Like the placement of a lot of people have pointed to the placement of the pinion for the hands, which is very awkward.
Right.
I like purple. If they could get rid of like most of this watch, like it would be almost okay. But yeah, it's weird. I think they could have gone like so many ways, like just put something on the back of the case or put like a little insignia or something.
I'm with you, Daniel. That's what comes to my mind. Invicta.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Invicta does have a whole line of
They do.
DC and Marvel ones, right? And I think Neo said on Discord that he was really hoping that they do follow this up with one with Howard the Duck. So, because Howard the Duck is a Marvel hero, people don't know. But,
I also agree with Mason One. You take the Marvel nonsense out of the middle of the dial and replace it with tapisserie. Now we're talking.
Yeah, like they could have even did something that's Marvel-esque, like like they did here, instead of just putting tapisserie, like put like this mosaic type of thing, right? Maybe put like a little insignia and which is it's funny because Moser has a tribute, even though it's not a collaboration, but they do have a tribute to Batman in the Streamliner chronograph, right, where one of the bridges is just shaped like the Batman head, which is done very tastefully. But this, I don't know, certainly not tasteful. But
now, did the person who actually portrayed the Black Panther actually die recently?
Yes, they did, of cancer, I believe.
Yeah, so that was probably the target audience right there. Tough break there, AP.
Look, I'm sure they're not making many of these, right? Aren't they making like 20 or 50 or something? I'm sure they're going to sell them. But it's rough. I mean, I'll say this: even the movement, right, for an AP Royal Oak concept, actually 250. I don't know if they're going to sell all that. That's a lot.
Way. No chance.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I really thought it was more limited than that. But yeah, it's. I don't know.
You just wrapped it up right there in a nice little package. Ugh.
So, like, I'm sure we can find something else. Let's just scroll along. Oh yeah, maybe we can talk about this one real quick.
Sure.
They basically can't stop making the blue one, and now they have a green one. Yay! Paddock 2, their releases weren't crazy.
So basically, they made the Nautilus look like the Aquanaut.
Yeah. Although I think the Aquanaut looks better in green than the Nautilus.
I agree.
I think
the
some
grenade
companies
is really something.
Yeah, I think a lot of companies went too green in general. Look, I'm a huge GLC fan, right? But even this one, I think is maybe a step too far. I don't know. The new.
I think that Paddock is taking lazy lessons from Rolex.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should talk about Rolex, right? I have their link somewhere here. I hate to have to find a Rolex link, but I guess that's where we are now. So yeah, for this one, I guess is for when you want to go explore and you're wearing your Costco Kirkland running shoes. And,
let me tell you, I am just shocked that they went back. That was the only major shocking thing from Rolex on my end, was that they eliminated the 39 millimeter. Now I explore, and I know that the majority of people, especially on YouTube, were thrilled that it went back to 36 as the original one was, but to me, this just I don't know. It's making no sense. They want to make it maybe more unisex.
You know what's weird is that a lot of pundits were saying they had too many 39 millimeter or like 39 to 40 or 41 three-handers, right? Like DOP. They had the Explorer, the Milgauss, the Air King. But what they did here is just add one more 36 millimeter Datejust, right? Except that it's not really a Datejust. But it certainly looks like a Datejust.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, you know, it's I'm sure you'll see them a lot when COVID is over and buffets reopen, and you know, when you want to hit that blue hair buffet at 4 p.m. But yeah, oof,
and then a two-tone Explorer makes absolutely no sense at all.
Yeah,
none.
I'm sorry, I don't want to really correct, but I have to really speak out in earnest here. You want to hit the buffet right before 4 o'clock, because obviously you want to go in at the lunch price, screw around for 10 to 15 minutes, and then wait for it to go to dinner. That way you get the steak and the other good stuff at the dinner price.
Well, I stand corrected, but in my defense, I don't own a two-tone Datejust. You know, I don't know these things. But yeah, I mean, this was just like I could have seen them bringing it down to 36, and that's okay. But the two-tone,
yeah, it's just like, why? There's no reason for it.
I've had people contact me like all the conspiracy nuts, but they're saying the reduction in size and also in two-tone, that's further proof that Rolex is kind of eyeing the Asian market and that they're slowly turning their back on the U.S. and Western Europe. But
even if you would believe that, right? They already have like 95% of their catalog aimed at that market, right? Like the OPs, the Datejust, you know, people that are like really, really big Rolex fanboys and only see steel sports think that Rolex makes like mostly, you know, steel sports watches. But like click on the Datejust and there's literally like 5,000 models of those things.
Yep.
All in the sizes that this is supposed to fit into. But maybe this is kind of like the two-tone Sea Dweller, right? Where they came out with like a huge watch for the sports market that they were going to price gouge on, and I guess that's like the small sports watch that they're going to price gouge on. And
I agree with you, but to me, at least the two-tone Sea Dweller makes a little bit more sense. This makes absolutely no sense.
Or reducing it in size to 36 millimeters. Guys, I'm going to go ahead and claim victory on this one, because as you know, I've been saying that the 36 millimeter Explorer is a surprise fuck off watch since 2018. So I'm you know, that's a feather in my cap as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Duly noted.
But I mean, you know, this seems like it's Rolex saying that to you. You know, it's not. Yeah, it's I don't know, between that and the new dials. I don't know if I have a link to those. Like, you know,
the green leaf and the gold leaf, and then the fluted dial. That's the only knockout. That the one you just had up there, the meteorite dial Daytona on the Oyster Flex. That is an amazing watch that nobody will be able to get.
Yeah, but it's very little showing though for like the year's big event though. I find like if this is
agreed,
you know, if this is what Rolex is anchoring their releases on, it's pretty weak. And I think, you know, we were discussing this over the weekend, and this really shows why companies like Patek and Rolex really liked Basel and like not being part of SIHH or Watches and Wonder, because their releases were always, I don't want to say weak, right? I like Rolex. I like Rolex watches. I don't want to be a Rolex hater or anything like that, but their releases are generally weaker than all the haute horology brands that will come out with stuff that's amazing. And these releases were really overshadowed this week by a lot of other releases.
Yeah, but actually, I think the symbolism of this release that you've got on the screen right now, because as we know, Daytona prices have been going up higher and higher and higher. So eventually they will hit space. So a meteorite dial makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but it is what it is, right? I think it's and and also I heard a lot this week, like people being really, really unhappy and saying Rolex doesn't care about their customers and stuff. But you have to remember, right? There was 1 year where their big release was the Pepsi, and looking back on it, like there's like a color scheme, right, and a bracelet. So it's to be expected with Rolex. And I think the other thing we saw is the stark difference between Rolex and Tudor, right? Where Tudor actually released a lot of things, and you can see that Tudor is releasing watches to try to gain customers, whereas Rolex will release a turd, and fanboys will eat it up and say it tastes like chocolate.
Yeah.
But it's a big contrast. Like like if we look at this one,
fans will claim they're Tootsie Rolls.
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, although Tootsie Rolls kind of taste like crap, but I guess different tastes. But like Tudor came out with their a yellow gold version, a silver case version, right? Really nice color schemes. Nice watches that people look at and say, I really want that, right? Whereas the Palm dial, like I watched the Watchbox stream about the Rolex releases, right? And I really, really respect Tim Mosso, but when all you can actually concentrate on is like the detail of the indices, it's like, if you have to get a loop out to find anything that's noteworthy about a model, you're stretching it a little bit, I find.
Yeah,
I agree.
What did you guys think about the Tudors?
Well, I mean, I liked Henry VIII the most out of all of them.
I mean, but compared, we were talking about this a little before the show. I think that between Rolex and Tudor knocked it out of the park.
Stole the show.
Absolutely stole the show. Between the chrono, which you had right there, the reverse panda and the panda, and what the rancher and I were talking about, the 925 and Flippin is what Flippin is saying here. It's the most intriguing, I think, of all of them. As a matter of fact, when we're done, I'm going to pop up a graphic that Flippin had found, and we can discuss that further. But
the chrono is nice.
It is.
It's
and like I said, my local AD, of course, they've just got the 2021 releases in. So you want to talk about Sophie's Choice? Actually, Sophie's Choice was actually, when you think about it, when it was released, it was but so Monday I'm going to have to go up there. I'm going to have to look at the panda on the bracelet, the reverse panda on the bracelet, and also the silver. No, they'll probably have the gold one too, but no. But they still have in the case the P01, the Black Bay 58, the Black Bay 58 blue, and maybe even the Diet Pepsi. And I'm just thinking though, holy crap, compared to Rolex.
Yeah. Tudor's actually trying.
Exactly.
Well, I think it's because they have to, right? Tudor will not be able to sell the same watch over and over and over again for the next 20 years, right? Everybody jokes that in 20 years is really being optimistic, but everybody jokes that everything has been Black Bay with Tudor for the last what, like 8 years or 6
Yep.
years, but there's been a lot of very different Black Bays, right?
Correct.
And they have to try. I think what you're seeing with Rolex is absolutely a company that doesn't have to try anymore, right?
Yeah, they just mail it in.
Yeah, it's
Well, and to give Tudor some credit as well to add on to this, I mean, they're making these watches pretty available, I think, once the release came out. So I know some people, depending on where you are, may have harder time to pick up one of these watches than other people, but they seem to be making it available. I've seen people post some pictures up. I personally love the chronos, the releases, the Panda and the reverse Panda. I think that was great. I'm in the minority with the silver, the 925. I'm still a head scratcher for me, and as well as the gold release. The exhibition case back is kind of disappointing. You know,
true,
you know,
or at least finish the movement better if you're gonna put an
just
exhibition case back.
yeah, I mean, you know, put some lines on the rotor or something, or just, you know, just give me something, you know. And and I think I've heard some people mention, you know, because I've had this watch too. It's like looking at the case back of a Sarb 33, right? I mean, it looks like, you know, a 6R15 from the back. So
it's exactly what we saw on the North Flag. And on the North Flag, everybody said, hey, it's cool, it's an exhibition case back, but you know, you're seeing like flat pieces of metal behind it.
Right.
It's nothing great.
do you think one of the reasons for the exhibition case back is to stop copies, to stop you know?
I don't think so, because I think it's I think
it's just being cheap. Or,
look, I think at the movement finish, I don't think it would be that hard to copy them. I think they put a look. I think we all need to take a step back, right, and understand that not everybody is at the same place in their collecting, right? And you have a lot of people that will go out, buy a watch that has a Sellita, like the cheapest Sellita, or even like a you know, like what's the name of the company that does for Fossil?
STP.
STP.
Yeah, STP. Right. There's people that are going to go out, get a watch that is an STP movement, where the finishing is it's nothing. Right. There's absolutely no finishing. But they love that it's a mechanical watch. They love that they can look at it, and I think that we have to remember this is not. Like I'll defend Tudor a lot because they're not a $15,000 watch, right? It's under 5,000. Under normal circumstances, I know that a lot of people will say, "Well, you won't be able to get a discount on a Black Bay 58, whatever." Most watches, like when I bought my Pelagos, I got a crazy discount. It was brand new, crazy discount, and you'll get a discount. Realistically, a lot of these watches are $3,500 watches, maybe $4,000 watches. So you'll have a different level of first-time buyer at that level.
Right.
And they'll like to be able to see, hey, look, it's a mechanical watch. And they'll look at those movements and think that they're actually really cool movements, right?
But who's gonna buy the $18,000 one though?
Right. That's what I was just gonna say, Rob. Who's gonna buy that 18 karat gold, you know, $16,000 model?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, it's like a Lexus LFA, right? They don't have to sell that many. It's more like it's a Halo product, right? It's look, we also make $18,000 watches, right? And people go in, they see that watch, they hear about that watch, and now they're buying a $5,000 watch from a company that also makes $19,000 watches, right? So it kind of elevates the brand, even though you're not selling that many. You'll have like diehard Tudor collectors that will want to buy it, right? But most people won't buy it. It's a way to maybe try to elevate the brand a little bit.
I hear you, and I generally agree. But when brands do that, they do something. Let's say they sell on average a $10,000 watch, but then they'll do a $50,000 tourbillon, $50,000 tourbillon. You know what I mean? Do something crazy complication.
Mhm.
It's basically the same watch, except for the
it's like
case.
a concept car.
Right.
Right. But
Yeah, but they're still related to Rolex, right? So they
Mhm.
still have some of that DNA, and that's what Rolex does, right? Like those Daytonas we just saw,
right.
it's nothing special, right?
Right.
A Daytona, people
Yeah.
rave about the Daytona. It's not a high
Absolutely.
horology chronograph movement.
No.
It's
Mm.
is the chronograph movement in the Daytona that much better than
Right.
the Tudor one?
No.
That's
One would
I'm
make
not.
the argument that the Tudor has the more advanced movement.
Yeah.
Yeah, one could make that argument, right? So I totally agree with you, and I think this is where Tudor's Rolex is showing a little bit,
Mhm.
right?
But-
Because I
But
don't
we're talking
think
about one. But we're talking about one watch. But I think if you go back, if you look at those Tudor chronographs, they're giving away a hell of a lot for $5.25.
Mhm.
yes,
They are.
absolutely.
It's
And-
value packed.
And I just want to point something out, right? They have been doing that for a very long time, right? I think the Tudor Black Bay Chrono has not been getting the attention it deserved for a long time until these pandas came out. Because it was out there. It was a really good movement, a really good watch with a bracelet. Not crazy about the full rivets, but it's
That's
a
just,
good watch.
hit or miss.
But-
When I
Yeah.
had my Tudor GMT, I didn't even notice the rivets. So
Yeah.
I mean, if that bothers you, then then just
But before this, though, like the Tudor Tiger, those things have been, they've been discontinued for a little bit, but those things have been picking up steam as people have realized. I think for the same reason that people are going to like the Panda and Reverse Panda. It's just got enough of Daytona DNA, I think.
right.
Yeah, and you're again, as you mentioned, there's the price, right? You're not paying $7,000, $8,000, $9,000. Like I understand when a lot of people compare Daytonas to a lot of other watches that could be alternatives, they always point to the price, right? If you can get it retail, it's not that expensive of a watch.
Right, like the new Zenith Chronomaster Sport, which is $10,000.
Yeah, exactly. But
And
this,
the new man on the fucking Speedmaster Professional. Sorry.
Yep.
More than that.
No, exactly. And this is a watch, right? And look, I understand that when the Black Bay 58 comes out, I think the Black Bay 58 is always the outlier, right? It does remain sold out for quite a long time sometimes.
It does. Yep.
But most Tudors, when they come out, there might be a supply crunch in the very beginning, right?
Right.
But eventually you can go into a store and get it.
And
right?
walk out with the watch the same day. Yep. Exactly.
I know that gray dealers, when it starts getting when there's a supply crunch, they'll say, "Oh, like you better buy the Pelagos from me. You'll never get one at a rebate or something." And the stores get more, right? They'll be available, and you can go in. You can probably, once it dies down a little bit, you'll probably get your discount on it.
No, it's over at where I'm at. They do have selection that's available, but they're basically saying current Tudor, no, flat out no. Current Tudor, no discount.
Interesting.
Yeah,
as a matter of fact, the only thing they can discount is discontinued Tudor.
Yeah. I'm hearing the same thing.
And that's something I've been listening to your opinion for quite a while. So let me pick your brain. If you were looking at any current Tudor release, what would you be picking for MSRP? Including the new ones from 2021.
So I'm not crazy about sports watches in general. Okay. And I do have a Pelagos. So if I didn't have any Tudors, right, I think it would be the silver, the 925, with the watches that I have. But the chrono would be a close second.
Yeah.
With the watches I have now, I think it's a no-brainer. I get the chrono. I get it with the bracelet, even though I don't really like wearing watches on bracelets, and I just put like a nice leather strap or something, or even that fabric strap that they sell, and I just put that. I think it's this chrono, and it's not because it looks like a Daytona or anything. I just think it's a really cool watch for the price. It's a really nice watch.
Agreed. If you could just,
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
If you could just go back to the 9225 NS, and I'm going to address something here that ID guy brought up before about this, being sterling silver and that it tarnish. I'm going to just take you off the screen for a second, NS,
Sure.
and then I'm going to just add in. This is where is it? Come on. Give me a second. Flippin' Zippo posted this in our Discord this morning, and I thought this was pretty interesting. It says here, worth noting, the 925 and its use of 925 sterling silver for its case construction. Tudor claims the alloy is tarnish resistant, more specifically stating that the properties of this alloy are such that use does not affect the appearance of the case of the Black Bay 58 925. The company goes on to further state that the case possesses an unexpected incandescent brilliance, leading it a precious aura that is best admired on the wrist. I just thought that was very interesting. So it's in their mix. There's something in there that's going to stop it from tarnishing.
I said this about the Tudor bronze as well. If you're going to get a watch that might tarnish, right? They do say that this one should not.
Right.
But if you're going to get one that
be prepared
might tarnish, well, and also a Black Bay is the perfect watch, right? Because it's water resistant. You'll be able to clean it. You'll be able to scrub it for sure. Don't put chemicals right next to the crown, but this is the perfect watch to wash and polish after, right? It's a rugged sports watch. So yeah, I think it's I don't see a problem with it. I think it's a really cool watch. Yeah, this. Well, I think this with a brown or black rubber band also would be really, really cool.
Rubber.
Yep.
Right.
I'm sure Rubber Bee or a company like that will have a watch with the proper color sooner or later. So, yeah, I mean they're nice watches. I have to give it to Tudor. I'm a fan of the brand, but they really did well.
But
this time.
And from going from the impoverished Rolex, but they've got one. I mean, they're just for a few releases, just for a handful of releases, they've got something that literally noobs and people that have been collecting for a while. The funny part is it seems like the older collectors are the ones going for the 925, the silver dollar, and a lot of everyone else is going for the Panda and the reverse Panda. For a handful of releases, you have to admit they've grabbed more than their share of attention.
Well, again, right? I think it's because they try. And it's weird because people like the Black Bay, right? But a lot of people that are, the very specific types of collectors kept saying, I'd love it a little bit smaller, right? They came out with the Black Bay 58. People like the Black Bay 58, but they kept saying, this would look great in blue. They actually listen to customers and they try, right? I know it's weird that a company would try to make their customers happy, but they do. So yeah, I have to hand it to them, And look, we're talking a lot more about Tudor than Rolex, which tells you a lot, right? I mean, somebody out there, like you said, Clive, is looking at this and is going to go out there and is going to buy it and is going to be happy with it. And somebody is going to go out and feel like they have to buy the Rolex with the palms or whatever, with the Hawaiian shirt on the dial. And they're going to feel like they have to buy that because maybe then the AD is going to let them buy something else that they may or may not want.
Absolutely.
And, they'll be unhappy with a watch that really, I mean, I don't know, guys. It's
they really want it, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I can bring it up, but like, it's like who will like. Let me ask everybody on the panel here, okay? Who woke up on the day? It was the 7th, right? Who woke up, and also in the chat, please, people, who woke up on the 7th, looked at this and said, "Finally, Rolex listened to me," right? Like this is what I've been wanting.
Oh dear.
I mean, really.
Yeah. Well, it's more like,
I think
the hell were they smoking?
Well, they listed the people.
The honeycomb one was quite nice. I thought the honeycomb, but the palm leaf one was just ridiculous. It's it's Rolex trying to be Grand Seiko. I thought.
Yeah, I don't know. Has Grand Seiko done something like this?
They listened to the people that said, I'm so tired of receiving these constant phone calls from my AD.
This one from ID guy. If you go back to the green dial one, Hughes.
Yeah. Yeah, the weed just. Yeah. I mean,
well played, ID guy. Well played.
I mean, this is for the Rolex buyer that already has the two-tone Explorer 36 that wants something a little bit more sporty.
Now, pull up the picture. Are the hands at 420?
No.
Okay.
Like this is when you want something a little bit sportier because you're gonna go play shuffleboard, right? So you need something a little bit more. I don't get it. I understand that somebody might want this, right? But as your big release.
The funny thing is, though, with Rolex collectors, it'll probably be one of those really collectible pieces in 20 or 30 years' time, though, won't it? It'll probably be one of those pieces where people fawn over it.
Yeah, but are you buying a watch for yourself, or are you buying a watch because maybe at some point 20 years in the future people may actually like it, right, or want it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with you, Ben. The OPs last year grabbed me, but these did nothing for me.
Yeah,
me too, Ben. Yeah, me too.
Look, absolutely, and I think the OPs last year was kind of it looked like Rolex was trying to get into a younger market, right? But this is just like,
ridiculous. Ridiculous.
And as Rick on Watches says, he's tired of talking Rolex.
Yeah, I guess this one is if you're colorblind and you don't really care which one your AD forces you to buy. Yeah.
I mean, the fluted dial is a little bit more interesting, at least to me, but both are just, I don't know, just uninspired, lazy.
But like, did you?
Now, where's the honeycomb date? Just
it was before. Let me just go back.
It's the yellow one we just looked at, the gold.
Right? Yeah. The fluted dial to go with your fluted bezel.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. It's, I don't know. I think we should move on, right? We've talked about Rolex.
Yeah, time to move
Rolex released a couple of
like
watches.
Rick said, he's sick of talking. They just
to answer your question, Ron. Yes, you're insane for wanting a Tudor Glamour.
So I don't. Oh, here. We didn't talk about this one last week, right? This was this week. I think let's just get some eye bleach a little bit and look at a nice watch. So this is obviously very expensive, but I thought it was cool
Grubel
because
Forsey
a
on
lot
a
of
bracelet. Yeah.
Wow,
yeah, an
Forsey on a
integrated
bracelet.
and I thought it was cool because a lot of really high end independents have come out with sport watches, and like some of them was hit or miss, right? Like Laurent Ferrier and even Grubel Forsey's last sport watch was okay, but not amazing. I think this integrated bracelet and slightly new case is what they needed to really have a home run.
Have they done
Definitely.
bracelets before, Ennis?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. Wasn't the last sports watch a rubber?
I was
Pretty
on
sure
a
it was a
rubber.
rubber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wish we had James Arthur here because he's the Grubel Forsey guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the first one that I can remember seeing on a bracelet.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, obviously, it's like they're like a lot of their sport watches or watches in the past. It's their like one of their GMT complications. But yeah, I thought it was really cool. The bracelet's really nice. It like all of their watches, it's really massive, right? But I think it's well executed. It's a cool watch. Probably super expensive, but
I'm sure.
But again, right? This is like a tiny brand, and they come out with this, right? It's kind of makes you think. But
when you actually want to try,
well, I mean, I have to say, a lot of brands seem like they wanted to try this year. I think the new. I'm sorry, guys, if I'm going through this quickly because I think let's try not to go over it for 5 hours. But like the new Line A Perpetual, I thought was a really cool watch.
Agreed.
With this really nice way of the ring to show the month. Really nice movement. Great dials, very well executed. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to find fault with their releases. They also had an adventuring dial. Don't know if I can find it, but yeah, lots of really cool releases. Who else had? Cartier had tons of stuff that they released. Wait, I have them somewhere here. Sorry, guys.
No worries.
New Santos Dumont was nice, I thought.
Yeah, this one
That
was
one, the
nice.
extra large.
Yeah, really cool. Different dials, right? I thought it was cool because they got into some of the fashionable colors, but in a much more subtle way, right? Like little hints of blue, little hints of red.
Take care, ID guy.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us.
I was talking about this last night with Ben from Mundo Watches, and he's got a Cartier tank, and he was saying that he didn't like this because and I got what he was saying. He said he didn't like it because it didn't have Roman numerals, and I got that point. Yeah.
Take care, Sanjay.
Instead of Roman numerals.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I think they have so many variations that this is just one new one. I think if you want it with the more classical numerals that they always use, you can always get that. But they had quite a few other releases. Let me see if I can find them. Hopefully I have them open. Sorry guys, I'm scrolling.
No worries. No worries.
They colored tanks, didn't they?
Yeah,
the
colored tanks were
these
cool.
colored ones. Yeah.
I found this image really, really funny because it's it's the last three it colors, right?
Correct.
Blue, burgundy, and green.
It's Cartier being late to the party.
Yes, or trying to extend it for all it's worth.
When we get a chance, I just want to get your opinion. You being a self-admitted JLC fanboy of what JLC did.
Oh yeah, we'll we'll look at that in a second. But yeah, this other tank, the Louis Cartier, I thought it was okay. But again, I think it's really the the colors that are really in at the moment. They had the Cloche de Cartier, right? The little, like a lot of their non-symmetrical watches. But yeah, I thought nothing crazy, but lots of cool releases. I think they all add up. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, they also had the tank Must, right? Must de Cartier.
What did he think to the Cartier clock that they did?
Yeah, let me get that. It seems like a lot of companies are coming out with those clocks. With those clocks, with a clock. Yves Nardin also came out with one. I don't know. I don't think I have the link. But it seems like a lot of companies are kind of following suit, right? Kind of
hopping on the clock bandwagon.
Yeah, it's a space that pretty much only JLC and MB&F were really active in, if you can say that. Probably MB&F more than others, and obviously Hodinkee as well, right? We can't forget.
We're trying very hard, Ennis, to forget about Hodinkee.
Yes, the masters of the travel clock.
Forget about what?
Exactly. Let's go look at JLC.
Yes, please.
I think I had it somewhere here. Yes.
Wow.
So
just wow.
Wow. Look at that.
Yeah, I think this is just so this is kind of like the Westminster, right? What I like about JLC is that they'll come out with something just because they can, right? But it's just amazing. And this one, what I really like about this release is that they've tried to incorporate a lot of the different divisions of JLC, right? Including the Métier d'Art division, which does like those micro paintings and hand paintings. So they did that with the different phases of the moon indications. But yeah, look, I think everybody was looking for a very complex reverso because it was recently was the anniversary, I think, of the reverso. So people have been looking for that, but they just went above and beyond. I mean, it's perpetual calendar, tourbillon. It's a minute repeater. It's got like phases of the moon indications that we've never seen before in a watch. And what I do like about this particular reverso, compared to the previous Ibris Mechanica and their Giro Tourbillon editions, they were usually very, very thick reversos, right? With their cage tourbillon and everything.
Correct.
This one, they really tried to make it wearable and thin. And the fact that you have four faces, right? The two traditional reverso faces, and then the chassis has one face in the front, one face in the back.
Amazing. Amazing.
And it's so cool. Like everybody was wondering, how does it work? And when you think about it, what they did is everything that's in the last two faces. So basically in the chassis are all indications that only change once a day, right? So there's a mechanical pusher that activates once every 24 hours that will basically update the two displays that are in the chassis of the watch.
Mechanical pusher standing on a mechanical street corner?
Maybe. But having said that, there's an actual movement in here, right? It's very thin, but there's a movement, and look, 1.35 million euros. So Yeah, it's
That is a sexy beast, man. I gotta be honest. Holy
Yep.
mother of
It
God.
is. It's something to behold, isn't it? It's really something to behold when you stare at that. I mean, it's just amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got to think, what else can JLC pull out of their bag of tricks? I thought they couldn't top the Westminster, but I think this comes close, if not maybe even edge it out a little bit.
Yeah, and I think also this. I was just gonna say I think the Westminster, this watch, the Giro Tourbillon, all those watches really really is is an answer to all of those cynics, right? That say, well, every brand that Richemont buys becomes just like a brand to make money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they stop innovating. They just push out like new dials and things like that. I mean, a watch like this, you have to think that they had a team working on this for years, right? And that just shows that even as part of a conglomerate, these brands can still innovate and have these very long-term projects that really are, it's amazing, right? For us, if you think that mechanical watches are stagnant and are dead in any way, I mean, this is the answer to that. It's just amazing that in 2021 stuff like that gets put out. It's pretty crazy.
So NS, you're our biggest JLC fan. I mean, JLC have made this for the 90th anniversary of the Reverso. I mean, they've got to really pull the stops out for the 100th anniversary, haven't they? Do you think they can top this?
I kind of have a feeling that they might be working on whatever is going to be for the 100th anniversary already.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't think that it's a stretch to think that they could top this one, right? I think if you see, I'm not going to say every year, but every couple of years, either at SIHH or now Watches and Wonders, they do come out with something fairly amazing, right? Even if you go back years, like 5-6 years ago when they'd release a titanium minute repeater that was waterproof, designed to be like an everyday minute repeater, right? I'm sure they'll be able to top this. Maybe not in number of complications. Maybe they'll go another way. And also, this watch doesn't necessarily have all of the complications in the world either, right? They could have gone another way, kind of like the Westminster and add a chronograph or things like that. So I think they could have a rattrapante, they could have a split second.
Of course.
I think they can do more than this, but this is just, it's amazing. It's a work of art. It's amazing.
It truly is. I mean, it's something else to behold. I mean, I just stare at it and I don't know what to make of it. I just look at it and it's just stunning.
It is. Yeah. Just takes your breath away how they can do this. They are still the watchmaker's watchmaker to me.
They absolutely are, and I think even though it has so many complications, I wouldn't say it's skeletonized, right? But it really does show a lot of the movement. Even with all of that, it still has the essence of a reverso.
Correct.
Right? It's like we talked about AP at first. Like some of the AP concepts that aren't this horrible Marvel one are really cool watches, but at some point they start to lose the essence of a Royal Oak, even though it's supposed to be like kind of a Royal Oak. But here they really kept the spirit of the Reverso, I think. So
yeah, just cool watch. Amazing.
Yeah.
And I think one other mention that might be cool to look at. Let me see if I can.
Did you have anything on the IWC release?
Not really, but we can look at those. Let me just let me try to. You know what? Let's go to IWC. Let's go to their website.
And thank you for being patient, Rob. We appreciate it.
Yeah,
No worries.
I just have too many.
There's
too many
just so much
tabs
stuff to
open.
cover.
Yeah.
Yep. Let me. I'm sorry, guys. Let me close a couple of tabs here, or else we're gonna. So what do we want to look at for IWC?
Well, they
guys.
did the two new. I've forgotten what they called the two dials for the Spitfire, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then they did the 43 millimeter. That you just had on screen, the 43 millimeter big pilot's watch,
Right.
Yep.
which I think is a very accessible watch, much more accessible now with the size for both sexes. I think it's.
I think it is, but I think it also
takes away from what the big pilot was.
No, I was going to say like almost the opposite, right? It still looks like kind of like a. I know the big pilot, right, with the subdial was different, but it still looks close enough to a big pilot, more than the Mark 8, right? So I think you're right. It is a big pilot that's a lot more accessible. They didn't make it $15,000 either, right?
Correct.
So that's nice. And you can have it on a bracelet, which is cool. Yeah, it's a nice release. Although I think over the last few years, IWC has never been. They don't wow as much with their releases.
Exactly. They don't drop a bomb. It's a subtle a hint of that, a change, a tweak. It's never like something groundbreaking.
Yeah, they're a lot more like evolution rather than revolution. So
agreed.
Yeah,
I thought dropping a bomb was the whole point of Flieger watches.
Well, I mean, you don't always have to. Sometimes you're doing reconnaissance or something.
And Penny really likes it all in a movement. She says, "This makes me really happy. I sold my IWC Le Petit Prince. This could be the replacement." So lovely.
Yeah, I think even with the huge crown, right? Even with that huge crown,
and it's huge.
Yeah, it is. But even with that, I think 43 makes it manageable. If you're attentive to the lugs, you'll see that they're drilled pretty close to the case. So this is going to be a wearable watch, I think. Right?
Agreed.
Whereas the big pilot, you see it from a mile away. Hey, look, that person has a saucer on their wrist.
Ristros has a great point. At this price, why pay IWC money when you can buy something like a Stover or Larco or many of the other original Fliegers?
At this point, I want to pound my hand or my fist on the desk in agreement, emphatically.
Yeah,
because IWC didn't come up with that. It's the freaking Luftwaffe that did.
I mean, I agree on some level, but I think at this point it's not like the same old movement as before. I also think that this is definitely a watch. No matter what anybody tells me, this is definitely a watch you'll get a good discount on. So I think it's more question: do you want to own an IWC, right? Because if you just want a Flieger watch, I mean, Stova is, they're out there. They've always been out there. They make quality watches with, let's be honest for a second, with the same movements that IWC used up until a minute
Correct.
ago.
Yep.
So, and Stova is actually, we don't talk about them often.
No.
But they've done cool things for a long time, right? They've done silver. Yeah, they've done silver cases for like ever.
Mm-hmm.
And doesn't cost $8,000. So yeah, it's a good question to ask.
I remember the joke that a few years back on the other channel, people were saying IWC stood for "I want compliments."
Well, and we joke about that, right? But that was always the thing about the big pilot, right? Where it was so huge and nobody else made a watch quite like that. That shape with the rivets on the strap, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could see right away, hey, okay, that's an IWC. Even though it had a movement that was like, I don't know what, like a minute and a half fast every day or something. But yeah, it's
oil money isn't a fan, but I think we got a new convert in Bobby Legs.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of course, it's a German watch anyway, so that's why.
I've always wanted to add a Stova to my collection. It was just
they're great watches that don't get enough respect, I think. Stova. I think if Stova had gotten bought by a conglomerate or something, they'd be in every department store. They'd be selling a ton. They're cool watches, and anybody that's interested in a Stova, at Christmas time every year they make this really cool thing. It's like 20 days of Christmas or 12 days, whatever it is. I think it's 20 or 25 days of Christmas, and for those days leading up to Christmas, every day on their website, they have one big deal, right? Like one day it'll be the, like, let's say one of their classic pilot watches that'll be like, I don't know, 500 euros off or something. And some of those deals sell out like in 5 minutes. Some of them last for a couple of days, but like every day you go back to their website and they have a new deal. So they're a really fun company.
Of course, we're talking about German watches, or we talking about One Night of Crystal Nacht.
But
yes.
What, too soon?
I don't have a drum machine or soundboard.
I'm insane that the 1938 Stova chronograph is beautiful and a real sleeper.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to check that out. So moving on from pilot watches and Fliegers, Vacheron Constantin.
Yep. This one was really, really cool. I think this
stunning watch.
Yeah,
stunning.
It's a stunning watch, and I think Vacheron this year did not have like the amazing, crazy, high tech release like they've had in the last couple of years. Like they're like the dual beat or whatever it was called, but this watch is still very, very cool. It's I know people are going to say everybody makes like a split second chronograph, but this one is thin. It's automatic, right? It's got a peripheral rotor. This is a really, really cool watch. Really thin. It looks classic with the pusher. Very well executed, but being as thin as it is and with the movement it has, I mean, look at that. That's just
that's amazing.
It's a beautiful watch.
Yeah. Absolutely amazing.
Yep.
Oil Money Watches saying it's a great piece, but it's hard to compete with Lange in this category.
Well, while I agree, I'd say that when you look at the thickness of this watch and the finish, I'd say you can look at it both ways, right? I think it's hard to compete with Vacheron at this level. So, because look, you do have. Here's the thing, the Elange is amazing. Their finishing is amazing. Their movements are amazing. They're rugged watches, but here you have a split second, super thin, automatic,
Yep.
a lot more wearable, I would say.
Yep.
This is, to me, this is like going to the next level. I know it's going to sound weird because everybody likes the data graph and the split second, but to me, this is classic high horology watchmaking, right? Let's take something that people have done before, but we're going to make it super thin and we're going to make it automatic. And it's stunning.
It is. It is.
Only 15 being made. It's platinum, obviously. But it's nice.
Yeah.
But look, I agree. The Langes are amazing. I think it's just it's a different take on that kind of complication.
Yeah, we got a spirited debate going on in the chat here between Vacheron and Lange fans. Both are amazing watches, but I mean, this is
I can't have to think of what Tanzil always used to say about Lange was like an in theory watch. Is why later termed it in theory. Everyone talks about it, but no one actually buys it.
Yeah, I disagree with that a little bit, right? Because I think the biggest problem with Lange, a lot of people talk about it, but a lot of people can't afford them, right? I think if we're going to be real, they're very expensive watches. Yes, you can get a Saxonia thin for reasonable prices, but the pricing on Langes goes really up really quick. So, I think the in theory works, but I think when you have watches where, okay, after the 3-hander, I've got to start finding $40,000-$50,000, I think that weeds out more customers than just it's a Lange, it's not a Patek, right? But look, I'd say people that are debating it, I'd say the best way to see which one you like more would be to buy both, and enjoy both.
Right.
but
I'm
but
actually
this is 300,000. So
right. I'm with Mason one. I love Alanga and Zona and would love to have one of their watches in my collection. But this watch is compelling. It really is, and it's VC, flexing their muscle and showing their chops, showing what they can really do. And just.
And speaking of VC, the releases that we saw in gold, right? Rose or yellow gold before, now in white gold. I do think white gold with the blue dial or blue accents on the skeletonized one are it's a very cool color scheme, obviously. But yeah, another really cool release from the brand, I thought.
Works a lot nicer than the yellow gold, I think. Yeah.
I think it really ends up being what you're looking for, right? What kind of look you're after.
Sure.
I do prefer white gold as well, but I could see why some people really like the yellow gold. So yeah, it's really, really nice releases. So yeah, I mean, it makes you think again how AP ended up with
Black Panther.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah. I mean, guys, I don't want to talk about other stuff. I know Arnold and Son at a release. I don't think we want to take like 3 hours. I really encourage people to maybe go on the Watches and Wonder site and look at it, and maybe we can talk about some of the other releases next week. But
sounds good.
Sure. Sounds good.
Let's switch gears a little bit.
All right, so let's move on, and thank you, NS, for that.
Thank you, NS, as always. Yeah,
you did an amazing job.
Yeah,
amazing
job.
Yeah. So let's move on to our friend Rob, aka Bobby Legs Loves Watches, and his
Bobby,
collection.
great to see you, Bobby. So you've got a great growing channel with over 1,700 subscribers now, and you do everything from unboxings, reviews, opinions on brands, plus regular live streams on Friday night, and your Watch Soup show, which will be tonight, and which
Yeah.
you do with Sanjay, engineer wannabe, commenting on
Love
the latest watch-related videos, which is really good. And how long has your
Ooh.
channel? How long has your channel been going now?
I started my first my first video was in, I believe, I only remember this because I think it was on Halloween of 2019. So I finally had decided I've been thinking about doing it for about a year and a half.
Mhm.
And if I could give any advice to anybody who wants to start a channel and is, delaying it because they want, the right situation or to get the right camera, just do it. Just start. It doesn't matter. It's gonna suck. You're gonna stink at it in the beginning. But just start getting some, videos out there, and eventually you'll find your way. I'm still looking for that. So that's why I do a lot of different things, as you mentioned, reviews, topics, streams. I do enjoy doing all of them, unboxings, whatnot.
Great stuff. Yeah.
Mm.
How did he catch the watch bug then? You've got the watch bug disastrously and disastrously, and how did How did that come about with you?
Well, I like many of us, or some of us, or none of, I don't know. I got interested in watches when I was really young. I grew up in the '80s. Those were my formidable days, and my formidable decade, or formidable day, whatever. You guys know what I mean.
Formula.
Yeah.
Formulative. There you go. And so G-Shock, Casio, very very popular. Swatch, very popular. Timex. I got into those kind of watches, the digital watch. As a kid, I thought it was just cool. And there's a lot of nostalgia there for that time frame. And it's not just with watches; it's with music and movies. What a great
Sure.
decade that was. And
Yeah.
and so that's how pretty much I got the bug for it. I didn't start collecting until much later on, but I definitely had an interest.
Right.
And do you remember when you started collecting? Do you remember your first watch? Do you remember what watch you got into it with?
So I probably had the first one that I can remember, was this when I went to this Catholic grammar school, and Catholic grammar schools were always about fundraising to keep the doors open. And so once a year, they would send us home with this kit. It was called the K kit, and it had bric-a-brac, Nixon, and all this kind of stuff that really is worthless that you would try to sell
Right.
to your family and friends. And
Yeah.
and so you would do that, and then they gave you this little booklet, and if you reach a certain goal, you can choose from whatever prize in this booklet, right? That was the incentive. And there was this one, it was a no-name brand, right? It was just a watch head, a digital watch head, and it came on this Velcro-ish wallet that kind of zipped around your wrist.
Really?
Right.
Yeah, and you could unzipper it and put your money in it. You know what I mean? And it was just
Wow.
Right.
it was it almost looked like a sweatband, like a wristband
Brilliant.
on your arm. And I loved that thing. I must have been 10 or 11 years old, and I just loved it. And then so that was the one. Did I have a watch before that? Maybe, but that's the first one that I remember.
Made an impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Great
What a
stuff.
great.
So
what a
you've
great
moved on a
story.
lot. You've
What's that?
moved
Yeah,
on
go
a
ahead,
lot
Thomas.
from. You've moved on a lot since then into the collecting hobby, and you've really got the bug. So we'll start looking at your collection, shall we?
Sure.
If Blue Shirt's got the pictures,
I can.
take us to where you are now. I'm sure you've sold a lot of watches in the past, and bought a lot. So
yeah, for sure. So in the 90s, when after I graduated college and started working, my extent of my watches were or purchases were like pretty much like fossil watches, right? Something I get in the mall. I would get drunk and lose it, and then I'll go buy another one, right? And so like Eddie, there was like a couple Eddie Bauer watches from it was an old store. I don't know if they exist anymore in the mall space, but and then like I said, and fossil watches. So get drunk, lose one, buy another one, get drunk, lose one, buy another one, whatever. That just like kept on going for a whole decade. And then so in the early 2000s, I started working more. Started moving up a little bit career wise, and I started working in finance, and I was working with a bunch of guys who were making a whole lot more money than I was. But so, and they were catching the watch bug. And in that time, Frank Muller became like a really hot watch to get. I hadn't started seeing Panerais, but it was mainly like these guys were collecting, had like maybe Rolex and Frank Muller. And this one guy, he had a Gerard Perregaux Seahawk, the one that you see there. Now, this is not his watch, but I thought it was like such a great watch and such a great looking watch. Now, I knew I liked watches, but I didn't know anything about it. Sure, I've heard of Rolex, I've heard of Tag Heuer, because around that time Tag Heuer was like the king of marketing then.
Right.
Sure.
And Seiko and whatnot, but I never heard of Gerard Perregaux. And one day I just like woke up and I was like, you know what? I'm getting that watch. I did no research on it. I had no idea what I was getting into. And I found I live in New Jersey, and I found an AD in Englewood, New Jersey, in North Jersey by the George Washington Bridge. And they carried a lot of luxury pieces, and they happened to have a Gerard Perregaux. And they had the watch, right? And so I was like, that's it. That's the one I had. And so I bought it. And, I think about that moment years later, and I think to myself, man, I really lucked out, because I would have spent that much money on anything at the moment. And I'm lucky that I got a Gerard Perregaux. Such history with the watch, with that brand. And
absolutely.
Yeah. So and it could have gone really wrong, right? I could have gotten something terrible. Now, Gerard Perregaux, we know, great brand. They don't really market themselves too well, especially here in the States. So they're kind of like
That's
underrated.
True. Yeah.
They're very much underrated, and they don't get their due. Although I think there's a lot of people on YouTube now that are trying to give it its due. But yeah. So like I said, I got lucky. I love everything about this watch. I love the power reserve. I don't think they make these anymore.
Like Oil Money Watches points out, it's got a really interesting date at 1:30.
Yeah,
that's
very, very cool.
Date window.
Yeah, and so like I wore this watch a good amount. It's still like in really great condition. Actually, I brought it into service a couple years ago because the date was changing at the 6 o'clock and not at the 12 o'clock, right? And I hadn't had it serviced in like at all. So it was like maybe 13, 15 years later. And the guy, when I brought it in, was like, I can't believe this is a 15-year-old watch. It looks like it's brand new. So I didn't do that on purpose. I just, I did probably baby it in the beginning. And then there was a long period of time where I didn't wear it. And I'll go into that in a little while later. But very cool watch.
It does look like it's brand new. It looks so fresh, Rob, I must say. Sorry, Blue Shirt.
No, it's okay. And I just wanted to say, I don't know whether you wanted to go into this or bring this up again, Rob, but I wanted to mention it, that you were actually contemplating selling this. And moving on to something. If it wasn't for Mrs. Legs, this watch could be gone.
Right, exactly. That's true. Like, so this watch, had very much sentimental value to me. But then after a while, in the last couple, late last year or midpoint last year, I had it in my head that I just wanted a Datejust or a Submariner, a watch that I wanted for a very long time. So I knew some things had to go, and I was like, fine. I made my peace with this, and I was going to sell this watch. But a few years before that, Mrs. Legs actually bought me a genuine GP rubber strap that fits the watch and a clasp, and it wasn't cheap. And so when she caught, and I had lined up a buyer. I was surprised. It was one of the first watches that I had lined up for sale, which surprised me because I thought it was going to take me the longest to sell. And she caught wind of it, and I got a deposit. She caught wind of it, and I had to
she put the kibosh on it.
She put the kibosh on it. And she was right. And at the end of the day, she was right. You know what I mean? Like, this is my first luxury watch purchase.
Yeah,
I would have regretted it down the road, and I'm happy I didn't go through with that plan. Actually, as it turns out. So
yeah, if this was your first one, you have to keep it. I think a lot of people make that mistake. I get it if your first luxury watch was like a Tag quartz or something like like an Armani quartz or whatever. But I think this is a really cool watch. There aren't that many out there, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like a watch that you're going to see a bunch of people have on their wrist, and so it's you have to keep a watch like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely. Yeah.
It's as much as a Rolex fanboy that I am, I'm glad you kept this, Rob, because it's a cool watch, and it's so unique, and being that it's your first luxury one, it's definitely it needs to stay in the collection. And bravo to Mrs. Legs.
And as you say, it's a brand with such heritage. I mean, if we had James Arthur on, you could talk all night long with him about this brand, because he loves them, and he talks about the Seahawk quite a lot to me, and he says it's a great watch. He's got quite a few of them, I know. And this is a gorgeous example. I can't believe that it's 15 years old. Like you say, it looks brand new.
Yeah, and I don't purposely baby this watch anymore. It's just and it's big on me too. So it moves up and down the wrist quite a bit. But still, I mean, I seem to have avoided putting any major cosmetic marks on the case and bezel. So been lucky.
Yeah, gorgeous.
All right. So let's move on to the next watch. A Pam.
Panerai. That's what I'm wearing right now. I'm wearing my Panerai now, and beautiful watches. I love them. I love Panerai. Great watch, Rob.
I do too. This one. So around the time that I bought the Girard Perregaux, like not soon after that, in my apartment complex, I met a guy. We were drinking at a bar one day, and we're like, "Oh, you live in the same place?" I said, "Okay, yeah." He was a watchmaker for Richemont, and he introduced me to his buddy, who was also a watchmaker in Richemont. And these guys, especially around that time, I really picked their brain a lot about watches, and then just enjoyed loving conversations with them, even though they probably were sick of talking about watches, maybe, especially with me. But I just loved having conversations with them. And so the other guy, the one that my one friend introduced me to, he, like I said, was a watchmaker for Richemont, and he worked on, and they both actually worked on Cartier and on Panerai. And so this was his watch. He had this watch in his collection. And then about a year or two of me nagging him to buy this watch from him, he finally relented. I don't know much about this watch. Those days were very, very hazy. A lot of partying going on, So I believe this is a Luminor base, maybe a 116. It's a titanium brushed case, but it's such a simple two-hand watch with an ETA, I believe the 6497 in it.
Mm-hmm.
I love this watch. It's another watch that will never leave my collection. Even when I was downsizing or thinking about downsizing last year to make it that other purchase, this was not, I was never going to let this go. Sentimental value because, that guy ended up being a friend of mine for a long time. Now he's moved on. He lives in England and he's a watchmaker for another company. And every once in a while, maybe once a year, we send a message. I send a message to him, see how he's doing, and he responds. But it's such a great watch. It's so different than anything else I have in my collection. I love. Actually, like is not even a strong. I love Panerai, and I would love to add a submersible one day to the collection. Just so unique, right? And I know they've gone through some tough times. They were really super popular. Then they went through some tough times. I feel like, and as you all know, you could probably get a good pre-owned one still for a good price. But I feel like they're getting back. They're getting hot again a little bit, right? They're becoming more popular, and again, and good for them. Hopefully they found their way.
Agreed.
And just such a fun watch. Now that's an aftermarket Etsy strap. It looks like a Panerai strap. I have a black Panerai strap from Panerai. They're super expensive. So I found this Etsy one, that green one. I love that color. For like $50 or $60. It's just a strap. Who cares? It doesn't have to be original.
The khaki rubber strap looks great. It actually looks like one of the Panerai OEM ones, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It certainly does. I'm sure it's violating all sorts of copyright or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it looks great. And it's a super fun watch to wear. And I beat the hell out of this one too. This one hasn't been serviced at all.
Really?
Yeah. And it still keeps pretty good time. It's not great, but it's not bad. And, I'm not going to touch it, because if I wanted something to give me a real accurate time, I would want a seconds hand,
Correct.
So
correct. Yeah. It doesn't need to be spot on perfect.
Right.
So I mean, what a wonderful watch, a wonderful story. It looks amazing. Being that, who cares if it's an aftermarket strap? It looks amazing on that. It really does.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
it does.
It's a really cool Panerai, and I really like the classic two-hander ones, right? Or they had the one with the small sub register.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool watches. Great story.
Yeah. I just love your collection, Rob. It's just it's just so cool. And what we and what everybody in the chat loves is the story behind the watch.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes this hobby so interesting and so fascinating. Is everybody you can look up online and find the specs of something, but the why and the how and the where is lots of times more interesting than the watch itself.
Right. Yeah, and I love stories where it starts with I really love that watch, or I saw this one and I really liked it, as opposed to I had been bringing donuts to my AD for 6 years, and he finally let me buy not the watch I wanted, but another watch. I love these stories.
Yeah, they're great. All right, we'll jump on to the next one. This is a German brand, correct?
Oh,
yeah. But if you want to do it chronologically, I don't know if then the Tudor Black Bay,
okay.
yeah.
There we go.
But you're close. You're close. Okay.
Sorry about that, Rob.
No problem. Okay, yeah. So I have to give a little bit of a pre story to this story here. A little lead up, and hopefully I'll try to do it quickly. So, financial crisis hit, me as well as the rest of the world, right? And collecting for me takes a huge backseat, right? I mean, I was in real estate, which was at the time probably the worst industry to be in that during that time, one of the worst anyway. And so it was some tough times. I was going through a divorce at the time. 2008, 2009, 2010, I finally got divorced. Hitting the sauce probably way too hard, and things were just like almost like a rock bottom for me,
Right.
And then I picked myself up after the divorce. I dusted myself off, and then I realized I needed to do to change the things around. So I got into a new career. I started learning how to program and develop. And then started kind of like picking up from the pieces and starting over again and building up whatever assets I could. I met my current wife, and we got married and got had kids, and so about 2.5-3 years ago, I started to get back into watches. I was like, I rediscovered my Panerai and my Girard-Perregaux. I hadn't been wearing a watch on my wrist for years. Actually, that's how bad it was. I mean, with watches, like I kind of just set it aside, right? And I also had this Tourneau, terrible watch, a Gotham chronograph that I bought a week before my first marriage, before I got married the first time. As a gift to myself, I wanted a Submariner, but the guy talked me out of it, and I bought this Tourneau, whatever. So I found that watch as well. Speaking of toxic watches, I bought that watch. I found the receipt for it. It was like, I think I paid like $4,700 for it. It was ridiculous. I ended up selling it for like $500. But good.
No.
I know. But good riddance, right? Like the first marriage and like that watch, it was gone, right? So I started getting back into watches again, like around 2016, 2017, and it was almost like I started with this all over again. Like I started getting into watching YouTube videos, and then I got sucked in, and I bought the SKX, right? I bought the Seikos. I bought whatever watch many of the top YouTubers were pushing a Squale, you know what I mean? But I was getting back into the hobby, and then I saw the Black Bay being released in Basel World 2018, and that totally changed the way I looked at watches and where I wanted to go with my collection. I had been aware of Tudor beforehand. I hated the snowflake hands. I couldn't stand them. I thought they were hideous. But then I saw this watch, and almost like a light switch, that quick, I turned 360 degrees, and I loved the snowflake hands, and I became obsessed with the Black Bay 58. And so, but it came out. There were waiting lists. I was kind of trying to wait until they started popping up back in ADs. Maybe not pay full retail, whatever. I just I was just taking my time with it. At the beginning of, so it was, I'm sorry, it was in February of 2009, or 2009, my mother passes away, right? And
Oh, all right.
no, it's okay. I mean, she had a battle with Alzheimer's, February 2019, yeah. Battle with Alzheimer's, and she passed away. So she was born and raised in Puerto Rico, lived in the States for a really long time, and went to Puerto Rico to retire. Alzheimer's sets in years later. I bring her up to New Jersey, so we're closer together. She's living in assisted living. She passed away, but I bring her back down to Puerto Rico. That was her wish to be buried. That's where she wanted to go. My father was buried down there as well. He was from West Virginia, but he always wanted to be buried in Puerto Rico. Just a long story. And then, so after we buried her, I was in Old San Juan, and there's a dealer, a watch dealer, authorized dealer for Vacheron and a bunch of other brands, as well as Tudor there in Old San Juan, that I used to frequent when I would go down to visit my mom. And so There was. I mean, they had Tudors, but they didn't have the Black Bay 58 or the GMT. And I was talking to the guy, and this was also another like a year after Hurricane Maria hit, and I just like felt compelled. I was like, I want this watch. I want to give him the business because they're economically Puerto Rico's going through a hard time as well. And so I talked to him, and I was like, can you put my name on for a while? I talked to him for a while, and I asked him to put my name down on a list if he had one for the Black Bay 58. I didn't think he was ever going to call me back, but sure enough, 8 or 9 months later, he calls me back and lets me know that my watch is here if I want it. And so he sends it to me, and I get it on my daughter's first birthday. So not only does it remind me of my mother, it also reminds me of my daughter.
Aww.
And not only did it bring me back to watch collecting, and it has all these other sentimental values with it. And so that's why this watch, for many reasons, other than just, because aesthetically and how it looks and how it fits on my wrist, that it means so much to me, and it's my favorite watch in my collection.
Yeah. Wow, that's a freaking awesome story, Rob. Oil Money's hitting it on the head.
Yeah.
The watch and the backstory are just tremendous.
Yep.
I just want to take this opportunity to welcome some people who joined us. Mark Goldberg joined us. Thanks for joining us, Mark. Watch Habit, our old friend. Good to see you. And Dr. Bill Sanders. Welcome, Bill. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you you watching.
So it's a lovely dude to this, Bob, Bobby. And have you been tempted by any of the Tudors? I mean, there's a lot of Tudors about now, and the popularity is growing. And we discussed the silver model, the 925, and have you been tempted by any others? The P01, the chronographs,
Well, didn't you have the blue dial?
So I did have the blue 58 for a month or so, and then I just realized that it kind of was it was redundant, and and so when we were discussing earlier the Tudor releases, like I come from it, and why I was scratching my head about some of the releases. I come from a place that I'm a huge fan of Tudor, and so it's not like me taking shots at them. It's me because I care about the brand so much that the silver release is a head scratcher for me. The case back, why would they do that?
Absolutely.
18,000 for a 18 karat gold watch. Why? Because as a fan and as a Black Bay 58 fan, like this is not what it doesn't feel what Black Bay 58 is about. Anyway, that we can discuss about that another time. But sure. Yes, I am always tempted by Tudor. I do love. I do really like that new chrono release. I would love to get a burgundy dial with a smiley face one day. Not now, but one day.
Right.
I could definitely see myself, adding Tudors once I get enough of my fill of German watches, which I guess we're going to get into in a little bit. I could see myself picking up some more Tudors one day.
Yeah. Great stories indeed, Bill.
Yeah, Bill's channel was like when I first got back into watch collecting. He was and still is. It's a staple. I always watch his stuff. I love it.
It is for all of us. For all of us, it's the mainstay channel, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, he opened up a couple.
Respect to you, Bill.
He had a video a couple years ago on 4 German watches for under 4K, and that really kind of I think that's what it was titled.
Is that what lit the flame, Rob?
It was part of what lit the flame. Yes, it was part of it.
Yeah, I encourage everybody out there. I'm sure you all are already subscribed to Bill Sanders' channel, Watch Art Sci. It's where a lot of us originally met and became friends. Bill reviewed my collection at one point. He also reviewed Ennis Something's collection at one point. It's just
he reviewed my collection too.
He did your collection as well?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. So it's just he's amazing, an amazing man, and he's got an amazing collection. And he'll be coming up on this show. We'll be reviewing his collection.
That's gonna be awesome.
So yeah, it's gonna be really, really good.
No.
All right. So we'll go. Can we? We'll leave the Tudor.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
we'll move into German watches, which is now your wheelhouse there, Rob.
Yeah. I definitely. I got the German watch bug about a year or two. A little over a year ago. I just loved the bang for the buck that you can get for them. Great quality, amazing tech, and toughness for most of them. And so this watch here, the Guinot. So I had owned a Zin here or there and a Damasco that are no longer in the collection. But at the time I owned them, and I wanted to pick up a chrono. Now I had a Zenith El Primero, a 38 millimeter, and going back to those watch guys that I knew, the watchmakers, they when I would pick their brain about like what watch should I get next, they mentioned two, right? The Zenith El Primero, because they were watchmakers and they loved that movement, and the Omega Planet Ocean, because that's when the coaxial escapement came out, and they really liked that movement. So I always had in the back of my mind that I wanted to get a El Primero. I got it. It just didn't live up to that particular one. Did not live up to my expectations. It just felt too small, too formal with the leather band. I just tried to make it work. I just couldn't. Anyway, I thought I was done with chronos. I thought maybe I just didn't like chronos. And then I realized that, well, let me give something more tactical looking a shot. And I wanted to diversify a little bit. I had a Zin, I had a Damasco, and I was trying to look for another German brand that I can pick up on. And so I somehow found Guinot. And Guinot originally was a Swiss brand, and they used to make watches for Zin back in the day. And then after Helmut Zin sold off or retired or forced out or whatever happened, whatever the story, in retirement, he started up he moved Guinot from Switzerland, brought him over to Germany, and started making pilot watches and chronos, and you can see the DNA of a Zin 103 in this watch right here, right? It looks exactly like it.
Yep.
And what is great about Guinot, it's the same exact watch as the 103. It's the same exact one. It's $900 cheaper. And that for me was, okay, this is the same thing, and it's so much more cheaper. It's got a Valjoux 7750 in it. I don't have to send it back to Germany to get it repaired after warranty. I could have it done here. And so it was a no-brainer for me. And then this is another watch that, I loved, and then I was like, I'm going to sell it. And then I'm glad I didn't sell it because it's such a cool watch. It's got nobody I know has one. That's not true. That's not true. I do know one other guy that has one, and he actually sent it in for review. A friend of mine and a friend of the channel, but you're not going to see this on people's wrists, and because it's so unique, it doesn't mean that I'm going to pay the price when I have to get it repaired, because I could just bring it to a watchmaker who knows what they're doing to get this repaired. So I really like this watch a lot, and it's a keeper.
Yeah. I was just, you sort of kind of answered what I was going to ask. Did you consider, Zin? But you said you had a Zin at one point and a Damasco. Just because this is, a more off the beaten path German brand. Right.
But it's still off the beat German brand, but it's still a Zin to me. It still looks like a Zin 103. But it just, with the difference with the Guinot on there as opposed to Zin. And I'm totally fine with that. I'm glad the Zin equivalent was like 2,600, and I got this one with the import tax, with the shipping. It was like just under 1,800.
All right, then that's a total home run. What a great! It's like buying the Zin version of the Navi timer. It's a little different. It's a little. You still get all the flavors, but it's just slightly different, which I love.
Absolutely.
And it's a cool and again, any watchmaker that's worth his salt, gets trained on a Valjoux 7750. So
Right.
it's the chronograph they learn their craft on.
Sure.
So it should you should have no issues if and when you need to get this thing serviced, and it's just different and a great conversation starter for when you're amongst other watch nerds like us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, and one other thing too that I love about this watch, and then we could, move on if you like, but I just love those syringe hands. I never really thought anything of them until I reviewed a Zin 104, and I was like, wow, these are pretty cool in this type of watch, this type of pilot's watch. And so, there's many different types of the Series 40 chrono, which this is the Classique. Their other versions do not have the syringe hands. This is the only one that did, and that's the reason why I got this one as opposed to any of the other ones.
Very cool. Yeah. Any thoughts on this one, Rancher? Because I know you're a bit of a German watch guy yourself.
No, like I said, it perfectly competent little chronograph. Nothing but good things to say about it, except, as you know, I'm traditionally not a fan of the date in the day at 3:00.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I love the style of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a nice watch, and it's funny that this kind of replaced, I guess, for you, the El Primero, because the El Primero chronograph is a movement that a lot of people say, oh, you need to have that in your collection, you need to have it. But the 7750 is overlooked a lot, and to me it's a very significant movement, because it came out at a time when mechanical watches were sort of fading out of popularity, and it was a great workhorse movement that was used to produce some pretty cool watches, right? In a way that was pretty cost effective. And I think it's definitely a movement that people should not be afraid or ashamed of having in their collection. It's a really cool movement to have.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree with you more, Ennis. I think at some point I want to add a 7750 back into my collection.
Yeah. And I think at some time I'm going to add an El Primero back into my collection. It's just that particular El Primero just wasn't the right fit for me.
Yeah, but it's very interesting because you're going from one significant chronograph to another significant chronograph. So I think you did pretty well in exchanging it for that. So
yeah, thank you.
All right, so we'll move on from the Gino to a Zin.
Yeah. So this is the 857 UTC. I love GMT or UTC or second time zone type complications. I had an 856 UTC Zen. Love that watch. It's basically the same watch here, except for without the timing bezel, and slightly smaller than this one. I owned that watch 2 times over. The first time there was an issue with the UTC, I sent it back to the dealer, and they just refunded me because they just didn't have any more in stock. About a year later, I got one pre-owned, and it fell victim to that purge that I had started for the other watch that I wanted to get. But I'm glad that I didn't get for now. But I knew with the Zins, I mean, they're all over the place in the pre-owned market. So, and you can do well buying them pre-owned as opposed to new, especially if you're getting something with this Tegemin technology, because they hold up pretty well, And so this one, subscriber to the channel lent in for review, and he had happened to also was looking to sell it, and I bought it from him. I just love. Like I said, I just love the UTC complication. I love it on the Zin here. The 856 and this one, I feel like they're great travel watches. They're under the radar. Nobody's going to think twice or look twice at my watch They're tough. They can be banged around a little bit, and they can handle it. And so this gets a lot of wrist time, and this will be my travel watch. When we can get to travel again. But it keeps awesome time. I think I measured it a couple of weeks ago, and it was running at +1. I know they don't say anything on their website. Zinn does about what they do with the movements. I've heard they regulate them. They don't seem to make that viewable. You don't read that on their website. So I don't know what they do, but hey, whatever they're doing it all right. And I am a big. I'll put it out there. If you guys probably already know this already, but I'm a huge Zinn fanboy. I just love the construction, and I just love the look.
Yeah.
Is this tegimented?
It is case and bracelet. Yeah.
Does it have the copper sulfate capsule in it?
It does. It does. Yeah.
That's some very cool technology that Zinn utilizes. You got to tip your hat to them.
And this is why, I'm a huge fan of Zinn, and a lot of. Damasco has some great tech on their watches too. A lot of the German watches do, and for the price point, I know Zinn has raised their prices within the last 6 months. Previous to, I still think it's you get a lot for what you pay for, and you do so well if you buy on the pre-owned market as opposed to buying even new, and you're still doing pretty good new in my opinion. So they use top grade movements, right? So that explains a whole lot. So yeah, I'm big fan.
Yeah, their dials are gorgeous. They've got typical quarter Arabic layout, and I really like the way they've utilized that sort of internal UTC GMT bezel. Sorry, the GMT layout on the dial.
Yeah, the only thing I wish they did, and this is so small, it's not a deal breaker. I wish they, that little GMT hand, I wish they put some loom on it.
Okay, so it's not loomed. Okay.
Yeah, that's the only thing. But whatever. That's not a big deal.
Well, if the rest of that thing was loomed, they'd be able to see you from space.
Right.
And that's because Rancher, what does his style have?
Contrast.
And to Rancher's point, it's very. I know there's a lot going on here, but it's for me. I can really easily read the time. That's what I like about it too.
Yeah,
very plain and legible.
This one and the whole series, right? Because Zinn makes a whole series: the 556, the 836. They're all very, very readable. And one of the things that's really cool about the UTC model is that it has the whole URB thing going, right? With the GMT dial kind of looks like the hour dial in URB. So I think it's a really fun, cool watch, but very, very legible. I think pictures don't do those watches justice. When you have it, when the sun's hitting it, it's like matte, right? It's just so easy to read. They're very nice watches.
Yeah, at any angle and any light condition, it's just you can just it reminds me a lot of my Explorer 2 in the the legibility and the easy readability of telling what time it is at a quick glance. It's a cool watch, Rob.
Yeah, thank you.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. Really nice.
All right. So we'll move on. This is the newest one, I believe.
This is the newest edition. Yeah. This is the. We could talk about this over. I like talking about the Jaeger and Basinger last anyway. So
okay, that's why I kind of left it at the end.
Yeah. So this is the newest edition. I hated the U1. I hated those hands. Man, it almost as much as I hated the snowflake hands when I first saw them. But like most of my initial gut reactions to things, I am so wrong. Right. So like after some time, I ended up loving these hands. Right. So I went to a Watch Buys Roadshow in New York City at the end of 2019, and I saw a lot of great watches. And I always thought the U50, just be from the measurements, the dimensions, that I thought it would just be a too big of a watch for me. I have 6 3/4 inch wrist, and I think the case diameter was a 44, and the lug to lug may have been like a 50 something. I don't know. But I tried one on, and I'm like, well, this is not that bad. Actually, I think I could pull this off. And then shortly after, maybe a year after, or within a year, they came out with the U50, and I just knew that that they heard my prayers somehow. Right? I don't pray, but but if I do, it's watch related, and and they heard it, right? And so man, I'm so happy. And then when it came out, Watch Buys had it. I didn't put an order in right away. I just was waiting. I don't know what I was waiting for. Then eventually I put in the order and I got it. And man, it's awesome. I love it. I'm wearing it now. I got it on a silicone rubber strap that I got from that is also a Zinn strap with a tegmented clasp on it. I just been staring at it today, and I'm driving after I drop off my kids at my in-laws and driving back home, and I'm looking at the watch, and I'm like, man, could dive watches get any better than this? I know that's a silly. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of other dive watches that, depending on how you look at it, are better or are worse. But for what it's meant to do, for the proportions, I mean, it's thinner than my Black Bay, and it's a 500-meter diver.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's a 41 millimeter case diameter, but it feels smaller, like it's like perfect. So, man, I just really love it. I just really love it. And I can't wait. I'm gonna, I got a review video coming up soon on this. I'm gonna do one comparing it to the Black Bay 58. I have a friend and a subscriber sending me a U1. I'm gonna do a video comparing those two. So I'm geeking out really hard on this one. Definitely honeymoon. Love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's definitely got those military sort of aesthetics about it, hasn't it? It can take a beating.
Yeah, and it's tegmented. It's submarine steel that we heard about.
Yeah.
That we've heard about it.
Yeah.
I had a little snafu with the bracelet. I stripped the hex screw, so I got to bring it to
I heard about that, Rob.
Yeah.
What a shame. Oh.
Yeah, it's all right. It's okay. It's okay. I just got to bring it to a jeweler and they could pop it out. But I didn't buy it for the bracelet. I had the same bracelet, just slightly bigger on the 857. So I originally wanted to get it on the silicone strap, and then I saw the price difference between that and the bracelet was nominal. It was like $60. So I was like, you're taught to, like, if you always go with the bracelet, if it makes sense. I don't know. But whatever. It's okay. It's okay. I got the silicone strap, the Zinn strap. I'll probably get the red one somewhere down the road. It's just a super fun watch, and I'm really happy with it. Very happy.
Yeah, beautiful. Really nice watch.
Yeah, really. What Brent was asking about the submarine steel, I think it's just a tougher quality of steel. I think it's also treated differently than regular stainless steel.
Yeah, and it's also like a rust thing too. It's even that much harder to rust. I don't know. But it's for the submarine steel, and then they do their tegmented process on top of that, and it really holds up. I mean, that 857, I banged it around, and it's still holding up. Not a mark on it. It's amazing. Like, why wouldn't I want to watch like that? Do you know what I mean? Like, these are tool watches. These are meant to be used. Sure, I'm not going to dive 500 meters with this one,
right?
But I'm not going to baby it either, and I'm so happy about it. It's such a great watch to wear.
And so you're still in the honeymoon stage on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm and the love is growing on a daily basis. So
that is so cool. That is so cool. What was some
Great watch. Yeah, definitely a great watch.
Oh, we've just been joined by Australian bovine castrator.
ABC, welcome, man. Good to see you. Assad, always good to see you. Thanks for joining us, my friend.
And G's asking, do you know how much SIN service costs are? I suppose you don't know yet, do you?
No, I do not. I don't know. This one has a Salida in it. Mm-hmm. The other one has a ETA 2893, I believe, in it. So after service is up, I mean, I don't know. I probably would go to my local watchmaker to get these looked at, right?
Just so everybody knows, they do have their price list for Germany for their service. So if you go on the website, they actually have a PDF with all the service prices. So
yeah, but I mean, if I could save on shipping too.
Yeah, Abdul's saying it's about 400 to 500 euros usually for a service that's in normal cost.
Yeah, it depends on the watch. I think if you go on their if you go on their website and check, they have all the different reference numbers and what the cost will be, and even all the pricing for the additional services, right? Like if you have to not really polish, but recondition the bracelet and all that stuff. So they're pretty open about pricing.
That's cool.
And that's what's a great thing about German brands, right? A lot of them are transparent with their service and with what they sell you. And so that's appreciated too. I mean, I know other brands do that too, but I find that German brands do that especially well.
Yeah.
I just want to welcome Hisham Habib for joining us. Good to see you, my friend. I'm sure it's pretty early in India at the moment, but thank you for joining us. It's either early or late because it's clear on the other side of clear on the other side of the planet. So, thank you.
I think the hands up should be really useful if you were standing there in the dark getting hammered by depth charges.
for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you'd be surprised how often that happens, especially with two kids in the house.
Is that on a leather, or do you have it on a rubber strap, Rob?
So this picture, it's a like a Fluco rubber racing strap. I just had that temporarily while I was waiting for the silicone Zin rubber strap. I mean, it's actually silicone; it's not rubber, but to come in, and now I have it on that Zin strap. So, Clive is already laughing.
No, I was laughing at around the shrinks.
Okay, all right. I thought you were laughing at strap on, but all right.
No. Strap on.
I think somebody was pointing out that this would look good on a red rubber strap.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna get
definitely
red next.
Definitely, Rob.
And Sanjay is back. Thanks for joining us again, Sanjay. And just to remind everybody that's out there, Sanjay, aka Engineer Wannabe, and Rob do a show every Sunday night at 9:00 Eastern time. Watch Soup. It's a wrap up of all the watch videos from the week. It's a great show. There's a lot of fun and a lot of stuff going on in the chat during the show.
Yeah, great show to catch tonight, guys.
Thank you.
No worries. As Oil Money pointing out, it's movie trivia night with Rob and Sanjay. So, all right. As we're passing the 2-hour mark, we're now going to hit the final and one of the most interesting pieces in your collection, Rob. I love this watch. Absolutely love it. It's gorgeous.
It looks like so. Okay, so this is a Jaeger and Benzinger. This watch has been on my radar for a little while. Also, you can get this on the Watch Buys site. That's where I found it. So lately, I've really gotten into almost like two polarizing styles. The very, very tool watch example, Zen U50, and the really pretty hand guilloche engraved type watch. Like there's almost like there's no middle ground for me anymore, or any for this time anyway, at least for now. And so I wanted, look, independent watchmaking has had a real astronomical rise in the last like year or so, especially no name independent watchmakers, I feel, right? And I feel like pricing where you could have gotten a pretty good deal on a lot of these watches, now they're starting to creep up. And I was getting a little nervous, and I went back to this watch because I just really liked it. Joachim Benzinger, who's one half of the brand here, he's a master at engine turn, hand guilloche, and engraving. And he has his own brand, and he's worked with other brands as well. And I just felt like the time was right. This watch was at an affordable price for me. I was trying to reach out to ADs in Europe and other parts of the world. They wouldn't sell it to me because I had to go through the AD here in the States, and I didn't want to do that at the time, but whatever. Because they as an option, there's a couple different options for this dial, and I wanted another option, right? I mean, I love this, of course, but we just couldn't figure it out, me and the AD, and so it just happened like serendipitously that somebody was selling this watch on WatchUseek, and I just couldn't believe it, and it was in great shape.
Sorry,
it's okay. It was in great shape, and I reached out to the buyer, and we worked out a deal. And so this has a FAF 96 hand wind movement, so it's not an in-house movement. It's nothing created by Benziger. It was an old new stock movement. Last made in the 70s. This company FAF, I forget the name of it. It's a French name. And I'll try to get more history on it for the review, because I haven't done the review yet on this one because I really want to nail it down. But they were one of the biggest movement makers in the world at the time. And then the quartz crisis hit, and they went under. So it uses one of their off-the-shelf movements, and he really did an amazing job. And shame on me, I don't think I gave you a picture of the case back.
No.
But but the guilloche is just unbelievable. Benziger is very heavily influenced by Breguet, and so you can see that here with the hands and the Breguet Roman numerals. There, the styling of it. It's just such a wonderful watch.
As well.
Yeah, it's such a wonderful watch. I'm so happy about it.
I hate to be vulgar. I hate to be gauche.
Yeah.
But how much?
For this one?
Yeah.
So it's okay. So if you bought it new on the Watch Buy's website, it's $4,300.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got it for less.
Huh.
And if you don't mind me interjecting, Rob, another feather in the cap about this watch is that when it's time for service, you don't have to ship it across the pond. That RGM in Pennsylvania will take care of this.
Exactly, and so that's a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. So when the previous owner shipped it to me, there was what I thought was a scratch between the 5 and the 6 o'clock, and so I reached out to him, and he said he didn't see it, whatever. But it was under warranty, and so we sent it to RGM, and it turned out that it was a piece of lint, which didn't move, which was weird to me that that lint didn't move. It stayed there, so I thought it was a scratch. Anyway, so they took it out, and it's fine. So
are you happy about that?
I am happy. I am.
So were you celebrating Lent a couple of weeks ago?
I was celebrating Lent a couple. Yes, I was. But then Easter came, and it's all good. But anyway, just so very, very happy about this watch in the collection. I don't get to wear it a lot. It's my evening watch though. After the kids go to bed, I put this on and watch replays of Clive's streams with the Watch Lounge, and sip on some hot chocolate, and I feel all warm inside. It makes me feel nice.
Nice.
Do you start hearing like dun 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 dun?
I did. Absolutely. I can't wait till winter comes again. I'm gonna wear an ugly Christmas sweater, put this watch on, put a log on the fire, and then
smoking jacket,
ascot. Do it up and just be real pretentious.
Yes. No, Mark would like to see your ascot.
Yeah. Okay. It's not what it used to be.
When has it ever been?
Yeah.
I think this is a terrific watch.
I think that's astounding, actually.
Yeah.
I think it's stunning. It's gorgeous. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, guys. I wish I'm sorry it didn't occur to me to send you the back, because the back of it is impressive as well.
Do you know much about these NS?
Yeah, well, Jaeger Benzinger, they're a pretty cool, small, independent German company, right? Like, there's quite a few now, and I think, like you guys said, one thing that's really, really cool, and I don't know who's been facilitating that. It might be people like Watch Buys, but a lot of those small, independent German watchmakers have a deal with RGM, so. You don't have to worry about servicing because they will do it. And obviously it's RGM, right? You don't have to worry about that.
Correct.
And for the movement, actually, just a little bit of trivia, but FHF, which stands for Fabrique d'Horlogerie de Fontaine-Melon, which is a weird name even in French, but they actually became part of ETA at some point in their history, like many movement makers. But it's a really cool movement. And what's really cool is that they went out and they bought 40 of those movements, Jaeger and Benzinger. So it's not like they were sitting like on 1,000 movements or something. They actually went out and got them, and they're finished pretty well. If you go on the Watch Buys website, you can see it. It's especially if you actually go and Google that movement, it was a very bare, nothing special movement, right? It was a very utilitarian movement back in the day, and they didn't just take that and put it into the case, right? The balance cock is actually really completely custom. The engraving is pretty amazing, and even parts that you don't really see are engraved and finished. So they really did a great job. And again, they didn't just take an old movement and didn't do anything to it.
Right.
So there's a lot of work that goes into these watches. And look, it's not all handmade with pieces of wood and all that stuff. But no watches these days, right? Unless you pay a crazy amount. It's really, really well executed for the price, like a lot of those small German independents. And again, they're not making 1 million of those watches. So
no, and to your point, I think guys like Benzinger, Joachim Benzinger, their mastery and skill, like, I mean, are we going to see people doing this kind of stuff in 40, 50 years? Like, we'll see, stamped guilloche, sure, machine stamped, but like this hand, guilloche, turning this huge machine and getting up close and spending hours and days building these dials and engraving the case back. Like, I feel like that's a skill that not too many people have in the first place. And that is perhaps dying now. Maybe I'm being fatalistic, but that's why, I mean, other than just loving the way the watch looks, what it means, what is coming down the road and may not be the same. It's another reason why I felt, that I needed to pick up this watch. I mean, I always liked it, and I have extra reasons why I like it, because I just love the fact that somebody toiled over this for hours and days, and that leads me to like down the road, what am I looking for? And I like the tool watches, of course. I think I'm good with tool watches, but watches like this is like what I'm attracted to now. This is what I want to add to my collection, like a Kadoki, like Dornbluth, German brand, that do a lot of the work by hand. Not all of them, not all of it's work by is all hand, but a lot of it is. So
yeah, you certainly get some. It's something that they worked on, right? They didn't just put it into a CNC machine and something gets popped out. So I think at that price point, it's pretty crazy how much you're getting for what you're spending. Again, if somebody's into more dress watches, there's a lot of these small brands out there that are overlooked, right? For sure, you're not going to, it's not a watch that they're not all going to turn into, these watches that go crazy in prices, like an F. Bijoun or whatever. But I think it's a way to own very special pieces for that kind of price range. So it's definitely cool. And if you go look at the Watch Buy's website specifically for this model, there's you'll see there's tons of different dials.
Right? They just added that. They just added those. Yeah.
Yeah. But still, you're limited to 40 pieces, right? The whole line is limited to 40 pieces. So literally, there might not be anybody. There's maybe 2 people in the world with the exact same dial in hands that you have. So it's a really cool watch to own.
Definitely.
Thanks. Thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah, really nice.
Our friend Oil Money was asking. You just got the U50, and this was actually going to be my question to you. What's next, Rob?
So I am.
What are we thinking?
Now, I'll tell you. I am very happy with what I have right now. I feel like I've created a good base of a collection, and so I want to be really methodical about my next pick. I do have a watch incoming in May that I bought last year, a Kickstarter. So that's coming to collection. It's another German watch, small brand. But anyway, so that's actually coming in. But my next purchase, I have the Kadoki 2 in mind, right? And that's one of those watches where a couple of years ago, the Kadoki 2 with a white dial, you could have gotten for $7,900. Stefan Kadoki wins the GPHG award for Petit Aiguille. Then he's he's a not a member of that watchmaking guild, but he's I don't know, he's almost a member, right?
Applicant.
Yeah, an applicant. There you go. And so those prices for that watch has skyrocketed to over 10, right? So I'm hoping that within the next year or so, I can put together enough funds without sacrificing anything that I have in my collection now, and because I really like what I have, to find maybe be patient and find a pre-owned version of it, and who knows, maybe it'll be even more than what he's not making a lot of those either, and he's becoming very popular. So that's on the radar. Dornbluth and Zone, they have a medium, the 99.1, which is a small seconds hand, but I think they also have a medium, and I mean medium because they have a 40 millimeter version and a 42. The medium is the 40, with a power reserve that looks really, really good. They've been on my radar for a long time too, so that's a possibility. And I'm really liking that English brand Garrick a lot. They do some great hand guilloche as well.
Yeah.
So I want something really pretty in the back. If I can see something really pretty in the front and the back. I know there's a lot of jokes there. That's what I'm looking for. I'm good with the tool watches for now. I got plenty. That Zen and the Black Bay 58, and the A57, and the Gino and all the other ones. I got the market cornered in my collection in regards to tool watches. I'm good. I want pretty watches now.
You mentioned the brand Henschel to me
Yeah,
the other day, and they had got some gorgeous watches.
they
looked
do.
at some of those. They're beautiful.
They're just a little bit outside of my reach, though.
Yeah, but
more
your
than
price bracket,
comfortable.
yeah.
Like Kadoki 2, like the Kadoki 2 is probably the most I feel comfortable at this moment in time in my life spending for a watch. But yeah, so those watches are in my radar. I really would love to get the Kadoki 2, but any of those other two that I mentioned, and I know Garrick's not German, but that's okay, or Dornbluth, if I can land one of those and at some point at the end of this year or the beginning of next year, I'll be happy. I'm at the moment right now. I'm at the time frame or the thought process that if I could just add one piece a year now, that'd be great. It's tough when you're a content creator on YouTube because you do have to feed the channel as well. So I do a lot of like affordable and micro brands watches because it seems to be that that's what the people who watch my channel also like to see, and I could buy them or borrow them, and then if I buy them, sell them. So I don't really count that as part of my whole thought process in regards to buying watches for my collection. But yeah, so if I can keep it to one watch a year, that'd be great. But I know myself. I know that's hard. That's not going to happen. But
right.
Yeah. Yeah, beautiful collection though, Bobby. I mean, we've got to
Thank
say,
you.
I mean, yeah. Great
Yeah,
way
and I
to-
agree with Sanjay. A Kadoki 2 would be a great addition to your collection, Rob. It would slot in so nicely.
Yeah. Oh, I agree.
Well,
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So here's another question.
Yeah.
I know it's like when somebody asks you, or if somebody asks you, who's your favorite child?
Yeah.
Which of your children is your favorite?
Yeah.
What is there a favorite among this collection shot?
Yeah, because of the sentimental value to it, the Black Bay 58 is definitely my favorite. Although I would have to say all the other ones are a very close second.
Okay.
I'm really, like I said, I'm really happy where I'm with you. I love all the watches I have in my collection. I know myself, it doesn't mean that one of these could be sold one day, although I hope not. Because I just have learned lately never to say never, especially with watch collecting. But all these are very close second to the Black Bay 58. I'm very happy.
Cool.
And what about your watch rotation, Bobby? And how often do you rotate your watches? Do you find yourself sticking to one for a week or a month?
Yeah.
Or,
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, like, look, I mean, right now I'm almost exclusively wearing the U50 because I just got it, and I'm honeymooning with it. I'll put on the Jaeger and Benziger at night as my evening watch. The other watches, like on Fridays, Flieger Fridays, I'll wear the Guinot. It's a good reminder for me to wear it and make sure it goes into rotation. I was wearing the A57 a lot until the U50 came in. The Tudor Black Bay as well. The Panerai has gotten some love lately because of the new strap, and the GP every once in a while, not as much as the others. But I definitely, when I get into a rhythm with one watch, it's usually on wrist for a week or two. So they do get rotated.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lovely.
All right.
Well, I think is that about it, guys?
Well, you want to run through those German those three German brands?
Yeah. Do you want to have you got time to stick with us a bit longer?
Yeah. It's up to you guys. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just I know you have a soft spot for German watches, which I really love this theme that you got, Rob. And I know that you focus on, and you recently did a live stream with Wolfgang Heinrich from Heinrich Watches. It was quite eye-opening to see his brand, and it got me hooked on the German watch theme, and I mean, there are so many watches out there. I mean, we start off with the budget brands, and the go through Zinn, Damasco, the Guinaud that you've shown us, and the Stovers, the Hanharts, Lacos, Tutumers. You can even go Steinhardt for real budget brands. Then work up to like Kadokis, like we've spoken about, the Henschels, the Langers, the Glashütters, Dornbluths, the Jäger and Benzingers, Harbrings, and the list goes on. But I started with a real budget brand here, which was Dekla, and this was a really interesting one. It's the one that military vintage watches. It's using an ETA 6498 hand wound movement. I just quite like the dial on this. This is they call it a California dial, but it's not quite a California dial. It's
right. Yeah,
so
it's a mishmash.
It's more like a Baja California dial.
Mishmash, yeah.
Good point, Richard.
Thank you.
Yeah, what I like about
I don't know whether it's in North California or South California.
What I love about Dekla's site is like
sorry, Rob.
No problem. And you could see with some of their other watches, there's a lot of customization that you can do. So you'll see in those drop downs, if you ever have a chance to go onto their website, people in the chat, you can. There's so many different options, and you can really customize this watch. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can have the logo on the dial or not have the logo. You can change the hand. You can change the color
loom.
Of the
you
dial.
Can have
you can
the loom. You get that old radium look or just a regular loom. The case you can get like polished or matte. So budget brand, but solid brand. I really like the Turbulence line. It's kind of like a Flieger meets an Explorer. It reminds me of.
Yeah.
I'm hunting them down on WatchUseek. I'm waiting for like the right price on one. You don't see them too many times here in the States. A lot of the ads are in Germany, but stalking it a little bit, and hopefully I can get one into the channel for review.
Yeah, quite young.
It kind of makes me think of DeVos, even though that was owned by Hong Kong. They were actually assembled in Germany,
right?
But also with the California dials, also with the legitimate Unitas 6498 movements, and I think still think those are great watches for the money. And this
it's quite a young company by the looks of what they're saying on their website. They're quite young, and they say that the high prices of European parts scared them off, and the Asian parts were good quality, so they actually started making their own independently. And their watches remain lower than the price of other manufacturers of German watches at the same level, which is they're quite nice watches. Yeah, I like them. And if you skip on to the next watch, there's another watch from them that I put up, which was the Dekla Deck watch, which was even cheaper than the military vintage California one we looked at. The numerals on this one reminded me of a Nomos, but the hands reminded me a bit more of a Breguet, and I quite like this one.
Ooh,
you'll see this a lot too with a lot of the German brands like a Laco, like a Stova, Dekla. They'll showcase a lot of Flieger, but then they'll do like some of this marine or deck watch styles as well. I've noticed. And again, highly customizable.
Well, it makes me think, obviously, of the DH watches, which are real, legitimate German watches.
Yeah, so they're trying to recreate marine chronometers, so they say.
Right.
And again, it's using ETA 6498 hand-wound elaborate with Geneva stripes movements with bleed screws, and it's really nice. I like it. They say it's available with a classic or an onion crown. So like you say, you can customize the watch yourself. So you can have choose the type of crown you're having, or you
Mhm.
can choose the color of the dial, or whether you want it with numerals or batons, or
Kind of like, is it also kind of like Torby, where you can choose how much you want to spend for how much, if you want really a lot of hand finishing on the movement?
Well, it doesn't go that crazy like Torby does, and I think Thomas has Torby lined up. We're going to see in a little
yeah,
bit.
I've got a couple of Torbys lined up. Yeah. So if you want to skip to the next one, there's Limes. Can you pronounce this one for me, Bobby? Because I thought it was limes.
I'm pretty sure it's Leames.
Limes.
Yeah, I think that's. I'm remembering from my conversation with Axel from WatchMax. I think
Right.
it's Leames.
Hey guys,
Lean.
sorry, I don't want to interrupt your flow, but I just want to say I've got to duck out here. So
Yeah, no worries.
great,
Yeah.
but great collection, Rob.
Thank you.
Really great choices and great watches, and I'll talk to you guys later. Okay, take care, everyone.
See ya.
And thanks everyone in
Take
the
care,
chat.
Ness. Great to speak to you.
Thanks,
Yeah.
NS. Take care.
Thanks for doing the
Bye,
news.
guys.
It was brilliant.
Yep,
Yeah, you
take
did
care,
an
Brilliant,
awesome
everyone.
job
always.
as always, my friend. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you. Okay, bye.
Yeah, so this one by Leames this just showed me what sort of the amazing sort of breadth of different designs that German watches have got. You know, they go from the different Decklers we've seen to this one. Lots of inspiration from Breguet. And,
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's amazing with this big date. It's got it reminds me of the Langers and the Glashütters and the Power Reserve and this is this even got the what was it, the silver dial with the Cludeparian Sunray guilloche patterns and fine Roman numerals. It's lovely. Heat blued steel hands manufactured. And they've got this Ickler casing, which is a brand in Pforzheim.
So Ickler is the parent company. They make they're predominantly known for their cases, and some of the sub brands of Ickler is one is Leames, one is Archimede, and they build all the cases for those brands and really solid, well constructed cases. And very true. A lot of Breguet influence, especially on the Leames dressier watches. Of course, you got like some of the other models. You have like a stamped guilloche. So good looking watches, great pricing, solid construction.
Yeah, I mean,
it is a good looking watch. It really is.
Yeah, I think this one went for €1,640. This one, or without VAT, 1,300. Without VAT,
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a lovely looking watch.
It is.
Agreed.
Really nice.
And the next Leames one was their Leviathan. Sorry, I believe. No. Sorry, the Night Flight Chronograph.
Night Flight Chronograph.
Yeah, it's just this is using a 7750 modified, and this reminded me of the classic German chronographs, the like the Hanharts and this.
Yeah, very very Hanhart like here with that coin edge bezel.
Agreed.
And the use of the cathedral hands.
Interesting. Very nice. Yeah. It's a good looking chrono. And it's not going to break the bank.
No,
absolutely.
Well, my impression about German watches is that they're like Avis. Not that they've hired a murderer for a spokesperson, but they try harder.
Right.
Have they hired a murderer
nice.
for a spokesperson?
No, OJ. Well, Hertz took OJ, as you know.
Right.
But
Gotcha.
And then the last brand was the Torby, which was the ranchers already mentioned. But you also talked about Torby watches on a stream you did with Axel from WatchMax, which was a great stream. That was a really good stream.
Thank you.
It was.
Thank you.
This one was amazing. This one was amazing. Toby say our pilots' watches are among the best in the world. Even the fighter pilots of the U.S. Navy wear our watches. And this one is the Strike Fighter Weapons School Pacific. This model was made on the request of the U.S. Navy for the fighter pilots of the Strike Fighter Weapons School. And the U.S. Navy searched various manufacturers for the best pilot's watch, chose Toby watches as a supplier, and it's heat resistant, it's shock-proof, anti-magnetic, 200 meters water resistant, special seals and oils used, and strong luminescence. And each watch gets hand engraved on the side of the case for identification. And but it's not available to the public, unfortunately. This one, you can see the combat aircraft, the Hornet 18, which is the workplace for each pilot, on the logo on the US, and the logo of the US Navy, and the logo of the Fighter Pilot School Pacific are on the dial. And it takes several weeks to print these dials, apparently, because the process is difficult and time consuming. And yeah, these are just cracking watches with that onion crown.
Yeah, I stumbled upon Torby because of Bill did a video, Bill Sanders, on them, and for a while they have one, the Enamel 40, which is a beautiful watch and fairly good price. But when you start at there's a lot of customization that you can do, especially with the back, with the movement, with engravings and whatnot. Now, in a hurry, the prices can jump high. So, for example, the Enamel 40, fully decked out with all the with all the changes that I would want to make, adding it up. I mean, now we're getting into kind of sort of Dornbluth territory. You know, now I know Dornbluth has raised their prices, so maybe the Torby is an option that is a more cost-effective option. But you know, I'm not really sure who does Torby's. They don't do that stuff, the engraving in-house. They send it off to somebody. Not sure who does it. I'm sure that they do a fine job. But I feel like Torby's does really well with some of their, you know, affordable type watches. Their divers are great. Their pilot watches are awesome. If I want something with a lot of engraving, I think I would just pay the extra and go Dornbluth. That's just my opinion.
I mean, the next Torby watch that we got was the Torby Starry Heavens, and this one reminds me of Moser. I was just going to say, it reminds me of Moser. It's always been a project for Torby, they say, but it's hard to implement and find the right movement and dial. And it kept to keep within an affordable budget. They opted for an ETA Unitas 6498 and manual line movement, decided to hand paint the dial. They've done this by painting with small seconds without the stars, and every watch dial is therefore unique. And it's an amazing watch. It's hand painted with these stars on. They've used the rhodium plated steel hands. It's adjusted in 5 positions. It's a lovely little watch. This one's going for €3,250, but it's a bit more than price is jumping up a bit. But I thought it was a lovely looking watch.
Well, it's almost like a mixture of like a Mosher and a Movado.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Dan T's saying Movado meets Langer. Interesting. But
okay.
But I mean, I could have gone on and on and on, but we don't have time really. But I could have gone on with the amount of different German brands that I started looking at. I mean, there were just some amazing ones. You really got me fixated now on German brands, Rob. And
Nice.
I'm gonna be looking at them for ages. But all I can say to all the punters really is check out Rob's channel because he's got all the German
Indeed.
brand content on there, and he's the man to go to check out your German watches. If you want to check out German brands, he's got the content covered.
Plus, I highly encourage everybody to like Thomas just said, to check out Rob's channel. He's not only doing German brands, but he's running the gamut from G-Shocks to the high end and everything in between. His videos are well done. He's got a good sense of humor about himself and the hobby in general. His live streams on Friday nights at 9:00 are great. He's also part of the Tuesday night live streams on Amin's channel.
Amin Reviews. Yeah,
which his channel is amazing.
Brilliant.
And don't forget tonight, guys, at 9:00 Sunday night is Watch Talk, or Watch Soup. I should say. Sorry about that. And that's a great.
I might have to watch that. That sounds.
It's a great wrap up of the week's watch video.
Please tell me he's snarky and a little cunty. Please tell me that.
It's not so much snarky and cunty, but just a good old fashioned fun.
Do you lay the wood to people? I want to see you lay some wood to people.
Well, this week is going to be hard. I'll have to warn you guys, and I appreciate you guys if you guys come on tonight, because it's hard finding videos this week that were non Watches of Wonders related was right. Hard. So it's gonna be a lot of slapstick, filler.
And any more movie trivia with Sanjay?
I will leave that up to the chat, but I'm always game.
Well, the chat is always going to vote for a movie trivia with you two guys. So
yeah, we'll always put that at the end. Then if the guys if you guys want more of that.
Absolutely. Rob, you have a fantastic collection. You have a wonderful channel.
Thank you so much.
We thank you so much for joining us. It was a real pleasure.
I had a lot of fun.
Thank you so much, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rob. Yeah.
Yep.
And if you could give us a like, a subscribe, possibly, and do the same for Rob's channel, that'd be wonderful, guys. That'd be
wonderful.
Great.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Rancher, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you coming back. Any final thoughts?
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
Well, I was kind of watching a little brawl and the brouhaha take place in the side stream comments. So, but yeah, I'm looking over. Nice collection, Bobby, and
thank you, sir.
And nice place. Because because of Torby, Bill Sanders has kind of got me looking at German watches for a while, but apparently not as thoroughly as you've been looking at them.
Right. Thank you.
All right, everybody who's stuck with us for the last 2 hours and 42 minutes, we appreciate it. We had a lot of ground to cover today, and I appreciate you, Rob, being patient, just because we needed to take our whack at the Watches and Wonders releases. But thank you all for joining us. Next week we're going to have our friend Carlos on and reviewing his collection. So that'll be something to look forward to, guys, because Carlos not only is a fantastic guy like Rob, but has an amazing collection also like Rob. So we'll call it here. Thank you all for watching, and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
See you guys. Thank you,
everyone. Take care. See you next weekend.
Later, fellas.
Take care.